All right. Hi, everybody. I thought this would be such a fun conversation to have with Jen Shryock from Family Paws. We're going to share a little bit about our businesses and all of the ways that you can get involved with both the Family Paws and the Family Dog and take a deeper dive into Jen's fantastic program. So, we met, how many years ago do you reckon we met, Jen?
Oh my goodness. Ooh, 10?
Gazillion?
Yeah, gazillion. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
going back a while.
it's definitely got to be over it's got to be over 10 for sure,
Yeah,
I think.
I'm sure. I can't
um
even remember.
and I think that because our business names are similar and
Yeah.
because we are both in the kid dog space, sometimes people get our businesses kind of jumbled up a little bit. And the great thing about that is that we have a fantastic symbiotic relationship because what we believe philosophically is really aligned. So
Yeah.
that is just super duper helpful. And the Family Paws business model is different from the Family Dog. And Jen, why don't you go ahead and just tell everybody what the Family Paws covers and how you can help both professionals and the public?
So we really focus on new and expecting families. So families that are adopting or families that are thinking of conceiving or preparing with their dog for life with baby. And then we move into preparing families with dogs for life with toddlers. And so that is the focus of our program. We do, obviously that goes to about, 3, 5, but we really cut off there. So that's really our focus, and there's so much to do within this little niche and space. There's so much to do
You mean it's
that
not just bringing the blanket home from the hospital?
yeah, that's
That's like a
it.
red rag to a bull. I know. Go on.
I know. That's it. Let me have that magic blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's so much to do, and there's so much as professionals that we can offer to people to make it a better time and to set them up for success so that they're ready for your program. That's
Right.
how I feel. So start them along right, and then guide them into the next steps of how to work with their children, include their children in the whole family with the family dog program.
In
So
the
I think
process.
it's a beautiful track to go.
Yeah. And you're talking about preparing. You already have a fam, or you already have some humans in this relationship with a dog, and we're trying to skill up the dog and the people for the arrival of a new baby,
Yes.
and then navigating through the toddler years. And then the family dog, my business, I would say we are skilling up the family for the arrival of a new dog, whether that be a puppy, a rescue, whatever it is. And so again, really different skills that we're looking
Yeah.
at here,
Yeah.
because a lot of focus is on teaching kids that have never maybe been around a dog before, knowing what to do, and helping parents understand what they need to teach their children so that, as you said, they can get involved in the process and also know when they should not be involved in the process.
Yeah.
Like having, kids don't drive cars and
Right.
kids don't get to drink alcohol. And there's a reason for that. So,
And
there's some things that only parents should be doing with their dog. Sorry. Um, yeah. Otherwise it gets a bit dangerous.
yes, it can. It can. Yes.
Or stuff like walking. That just made me think about kids walking dogs, around
Mm.
parks and around the block and all the things that could potentially go wrong with that. So,
Yeah. I definitely think about that all the time.
yeah,
Yes.
you only have to have had your own kind of like slightly scary run in yourself to wonder what it must feel like to be a kid in that situation with all that responsibility.
It's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true.
So you are licensing Family Paws educators, correct?
Yes.
And tell us about Family Paws educators, what they do, and how you can become one.
Right. So our Family Paws parent educators go through our 13-week course, and it involves everything related to the dogs and storks and dogs and toddlers program. So it goes into all sorts of situations that happen and circumstances that happen for new and expecting families, fertility. We talk about that. We talk about adoption. We talk about pregnancy loss. We talk about a lot of those things. We talk about, and then in the toddler time, we talk about different developmental stages and ages and the impact on the family dog, all these things and the impact in the family dog. And our educators get to be on our website, which gets referrals. And then we also have a dog and baby support line that we get phone calls into, that people call and are looking for support or a referral. So, and it's a great way to stand out in the crowd from, a lot of people say that they offer dog and baby stuff, but they, what kind of experiences behind them, what kind of training have they done? That's really important. So I think when you're entering into these kinds of cases, it's very important to have a background and have a team. And we have such a strong network and team of people. We have 264 licensed educators to support you, which is great. And so we're a very, very cooperative, collaborative group. And so our network and our group is really something for professionals who have a little discomfort, but want to have that support. We're here to help support them in every way.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so so it's a 13-week course and you
Yes.
meet once a week?
It's once a week for 75 minutes.
Oh,
We just added on to have more
specifically.
discussion time. Yes, 75 minutes on the nose. Yes.
Yep.
We are having more discussion and more interaction, some breakout groups, things like that to make it more interactive. So we've just changed that, and we just raised our price to $19.95 because we are adding on to the program that we had. And so, but we run specials from time to time, so people can look out for that.
Yeah.
But it's it's great. I've been doing it for so long that I still love it. That's the thing, Justine. I think we're both really passionate about what we do. Thank goodness. I love it. I just really love to see new educators learn. People who've been in the dog training field for a long time come and take our course, and then they're like, I had no idea. Or they're blown away. And it just keeps me going.
Yeah. And I was thinking, you were saying about you have people that have maybe been a dog trainer for many years, and then they branch out into this new space that they've never been in before. And I would imagine for them, having somebody that has the wealth of your experience for all the time you've been doing this, and only focusing on this. It's not like you're doing regular dog training classes on the side. This is the complete focus of your business. It must feel very reassuring to people when they're dealing with it, because these can be high stakes situations.
Yeah, they really can be. And it does help. I am available for our educators, and I'm available for other professionals as well. I like to be available. If anybody has questions, I think around these cases, I want to be available because I feel like I can help, and give, some of my experience and assistance, whether it's a case that's workable or not workable, what we're looking at to make it workable, what we're looking at that might indicate it's not workable. Those are things that I believe my 20 some years of experience have really helped put me in a position to be able to support people with.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's just so reassuring, because you can't know all the things. You just can't, no matter how great of a professional you are.
Well, and that's true. And so in my network, there are people that I go to. I mean, we have anywhere in our network from new trainers to veterinary behaviorists. And so we have a collaborative group of people that we can reach out to. So it's not just you come to me, it's that we've got a good support system within the system to be able to reach out to others. And I think that that's really important, because I don't have all the answers either, and never would claim to.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the lovely kind of things that we agree on philosophically. Like, every household is different. Every dog is different. The personalities, the environment, the location, the breed of dog, the age of the dog, the sex of the dog, the personality of the dog. There's so much going on that you can't give cookie cutter advice.
No, and it's dangerous to give it.
Yeah.
It can be very dangerous. People always say, well, you don't give specifics on how to introduce a dog and baby. And I say, you're right. You're right.
Yep.
That's true. We don't give specifics. We give guidelines, and we give suggestions, and we give things that can increase safety, but we're not going to go into specifics unless it's a private consultation, and we can absolutely work specifically with that family and their individual dog, because there's so much to take into consideration and there's so much at stake.
Yeah, totally. And what kind of things do you cover in your course, Jen?
So we cover everything from, like I was saying, the pre-pregnancy things that happen, like morning sickness, bed rest, all those things that might affect the family dog, morning sickness, day sickness.
Like
how
how to navigate that. If
yeah,
you're experiencing morning sickness, what does the dog do and how do you expect the dog to kind of behave and navigate that?
exactly. And
Right.
how do you support your families? It's a whole different kind of clientele. So people will say, oh, I didn't hear back from someone. Well, it may be because they experienced a loss, or it may be because they are feeling really ill, or they're just exhausted.
Mhm.
I remember those the first couple of months, that exhaustion that I remember sitting and crying one time because I couldn't take my shoes off. I was so tired.
Yeah.
I was just there, you know. I
It
remember.
can be untenable. I had to take medication because I was so sick with my second child that my daughter was probably, I don't know, she was about 8 months, 9 months old, and I had fallen asleep with her on the
Yeah.
ground. And I woke up because I was so like malnourished from being so sick. And it was just dreadful. I've never experienced anything like it
Oh,
before. It was so frightening. I was really scared of it.
yeah, no, I can totally understand that. And I mean, so we talk about those things. We talk about, again, developmental stages. I think it's really important for professionals who are not familiar with children. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not a parent, so I shouldn't take this course. If you're not a parent, you need to take this course because we go
Mhm.
through all the different developmental stages and how that may impact
Mhm.
the family dog. Because again, we have to look at all whether that, not all dogs respond to the different stages. Some dogs are totally fine while other dogs have a really difficult time, so we want to know what to do. So that's, and it covers the whole time. So the first 8 weeks is dogs and storks, and the rest of it is dogs and toddlers, and we go through all the different things like success stations, invites, decreased bites, the one hand enough, two hands too rough, parent on dog and baby on the scene, a parent in between, all the different phrases everybody hears and knows of Family Paws.
Mhm.
All those things are covered, and why. And management's a big part of our program, as well as counseling skills. How do you approach someone when they've sent you a picture of their child sitting on the dog? What might you do? What do you,
Mhm.
things like that.
Mhm.
Because unfortunately, we do get those kinds of things. So we do a lot of counseling and coaching on how to talk with people. And I think that
Right.
that's, with empathy and compassion versus judgmental
Mhm.
approach. So
Yeah.
it's super important to me. Yeah,
Yeah, and meeting people where they're at is absolutely crucial. I mean,
totally.
sometimes it's easy to look at a picture on social media and be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so frightening," and the judgy hat kind of starts putting itself, on your head, and you're like, "Wait, stop, hang on a second," because most of the time, parents are trying to do the very best they can. They
They
just don't
are.
have the best information, and I think that's where both of our programs come in, that we can try to get some quality information that really helps keep everybody safe and happy.
Yes. And I would say, I lead from my own example. I was that parent. I mean, I was the
Same.
parent. I had lots and lots of pictures, and I show those, lots of pictures of my kids doing wacky things that where my dog is looking absolutely miserable. And
Mhm.
I didn't know what I was looking at. And I think it's just understanding from that professional point of view that we all, you know what you know until you grow.
Yep.
And it's allowing people the safe space to learn and feel comfortable growing. And
I
that's what
love
we
it.
want to do for our professionals so they can do that with their families.
Yeah, I love it. You said something earlier actually that I thought was really important, that um if you don't have kids yourself, you might not think about the different developmental stages, but a baby that is crying and not mobile is a very different experience for a dog than one that is now starting to crawl around the floor and, grab onto things, try to pull themselves up, feel the fur of the dog and pull a little bit too hard on it. They're clutching for things, um in the early stages, and just how much coaching a family might need through those different situations and creating those success stations. I can imagine, like, now I'm thinking about it now, it's almost like every person needs to do this training, because you could find yourself in this situation really easily working with a family like this.
You could, and it's also the information that we provide, like our 5 types of supervision and our success stations and grumble zones and growl zones and all those things apply to other aspects of training. It's
Hmm.
all based on my experience with foster dogs and having over 70 foster dogs over different periods of time. And it's really about integration, just, whether it's dog to dog, kid to dog,
Right.
cat to dog, it's all the same thing. So that's what most of our educators walk away with is, wow, we have so much material that's going to be helpful, not only with the kids, but in other situations as well. So that's, I think, really valuable as well.
Yeah, you can totally use that like in it for another purpose. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
dog stuff. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. Any of those places, the grumble zones like are a real thing for dog
it's a real,
situations.
that's where
Yeah.
I put it together because of my experience with fostering. And when I would have foster homes come up to me and say, they were doing great on leash outside and we brought them in and all hell broke loose. And I'm like, all right, let's talk about it. Let's look at the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So in my own home, we had to do it. And right now, I'm raising a puppy with two dogs, two older dogs. And we're back to that supervision, the 5 types of supervision, as well as the grumble zones and growl zones. And we're
Yep.
using success stations. So it's applicable in so many ways. I feel like I'm a toddler parent all over again.
Yeah. It's a lot of work raising a puppy with other dogs, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Trying to manage their relationship as they grow up. And again, they go through different developmental stages that you're juggling as well.
Yeah, I've got my
Yeah.
senior dog who thinks he can play, and I'm like, no.
Oh,
I've
that's so
got an
good.
adolescent who wants to play all day long. So it's juggling a lot. It's
Yeah.
juggling a lot.
Thank goodness you have all this material to be able to pull from.
I am using all my own material.
Yeah.
I'm using and then some,
Yeah.
but I'm using success stations. I'm using the supervision for my kids and my husband. And I'm using, Grumble and Growl Zone and tons of other material too. Gosh, you need other people's support when you have your own puppy, don't you? So
Oh
much.
my gosh, completely. And sometimes I think that, when you're in it yourself, you can't see the wood for the trees. That's when you pick up the phone and call your dog trainer friends and be like, come on,
Exactly.
tell me what I'm doing here because I can't freaking see it.
Right. And remember, he's only 4 months old.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The reality check, like the cold bucket of water in the
It
face.
is really important. So I love
Yeah.
having a great network. And that's what I love about having the relationship I do with you is I'm able to reach out and call and we bounce ideas off of each other. And I think
Yeah.
that that's really good for people to know too.
Yeah, totally.
So
Totally. And if
collaborative.
you are a Family Paws educator, I think all of the family dog stuff dovetails really nicely into that and exactly back the other way as well. It's kind of like, even though we've never discussed the material that we're creating, but it just naturally seems to flow that way.
It does. It's beautiful. It's
Even
beautiful.
even if you think about the crazy thing about, I just saw it pop up again on social media that you had pet paws.
Yes.
And we created pet paws, and I never saw your thing at all, but our
And I know,
brains obviously are
yeah.
working in like the same zone. It's crazy.
Well, and that came from my cat Jack many, many years ago because I pet him and that third pet would lead to a bite. And
Ah,
so I did pet paws and
right.
it's stuck. But
Yeah.
now I truthfully I use pet paws because I really like it much better. But
Well, that connects really with your decreased bites. I mean,
yes,
it's all the same
it
stuff,
makes
just
sense.
kind of said in a different way. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. See,
So
it
if
flows so well.
It does. So if is there a perfect type of dog trainer or professional that should do your course, or is it really just open to anybody? Should you have any basic qualifications before you start this?
We really like people to have about 5 years experience, but we also do take people who are newer and we work with them a little bit depending on what their goals are, what their background is. I mean, if
Mhm.
they've got a different background in like psychology or sociology or different things, we do take child development, we take those things into consideration as well. We definitely want positive reinforcement trainers and are pretty strict on that as far as the licensing program. We do offer other programs like the Dog Aware program, which is just 4 weeks. But this is what we do for the licensing program, and it's excellent. I look at everybody individually. We do an interview process, and so it's really I want to get to know each educator very individually
Mhm.
because we work so closely together, especially in those 13 weeks and then beyond. We continue to do coaching sessions and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of your trainers are all vetted and
Yes.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's important too, especially if you're going to be working with
children.
hospitals and children, and yeah, up close and personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. So where can they find you, Jen?
They can find me at familypaws.com. They can also find us on Instagram at FamilyPaws Official. And then they can email me, just easy, Jen at familypaws.com. And that's Jen with one N.
Not two.
Not two.
Do not add two.
It won't go to me.
No, we don't know who it goes to, but it won't be to Jen. This Jen anyway. Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for coming and chatting with me and helping us kind of like highlight the differences and also the synergy too.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always great
Of
to
course. Yeah, I appreciate it. And as I say, totally value well our friendship and also our working relationship too.
Me too. Thank you.
All right. Take care.